She said she was a mother and a school teacher. Aisha Fraser's life tragically came to an end in a backyard where she was attacked and stabbed to death early Saturday with her kids nearby. An emotional 911 call reveals some of the horrific details, and we've decided to only air certain portions of that call that we believe are important for you to hear firsthand.
I need the police immediately. My brother is attacking his ex-wife.
This was the information police had as they responded to this home on Chagrin Boulevard Saturday morning. The caller is the sister of former Cuyahoga County Judge and State Senator Lance Mason. She was inside with Mason's two young daughters talking to police when she reported what was going on in the backyard.
He stabbed her and he said she's dead.
Found dead in the backyard was 45-year-old Aisha Fraser, a mother and school teacher at Shaker Heights Woodbury Elementary School. As police arrived on scene, Mason attempted to leave in an SUV, but crashed into a police cruiser, sending an officer to the hospital with serious injuries. Mason then ran from the scene of that crash back inside to where his sister and children were still on the phone with police.
I've got a three-man team going in, entering now.
Hey, is it that house?
I don't know, spot it now.
It's 1-1. It's on this side of the street. It's fuck. It's him. He came out of the house. It's him. Watch out. Put your hands up. Put your hands up now. Put your hands up. Put him up. Put him up. You're gonna get shot! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Don't let him back on this shit! Shut up! Holy fuck!
Watch it, they got the dog up there. They're upstairs. I got contact. Put your hands behind your back. Do it now. Get him out. Do it, watch. Is anyone else in the house?
My daughters and my sister.
Where are they? Are they hurt?
They're in this bedroom.
Are they hurt?
No, not in any way.
Okay, where's the weapon?
They're outside. I used her on her.
Any possibility of Hep C, anything like that, blood-related pathogens?
No.
Okay.
Is anyone else injured in this house?
No.
All right, roll to your side. Let's get you on your feet.
Stand on feet.
Yep.
Who's upstairs?
All right, hang on.
Neighbor. I have no weapons.
All right, on your feet. Here, sit on your butt. All right, let's get on your knees. On your knees.
Hold on this. I need to put my dog up here.
All the way up.
I'll clear it with him, it's fine.
Oh, you got someone with you?
Okay, hang on.
Get him out. You got him?
Got him?
I gotta watch.
His wrist is squirting out blood. We need him to the ambulance
Okay.
now.
Let's
Squirting
go.
out blood. Squirting out blood. Go.
Okay. Come on.
Go ahead, guys.
Watch. Where's the ambulance at?
Thank you.
Hold him up with the back with your hands. Where's?
Stay with him.
I am.
Got him? You stay with him. All right.
All right. We need another squad.
We need another squad out here. Sit him down. Stop.
He's bleeding out. Let's go.
No, he's not bleeding
You need to
out.
be operational?
Okay, have a seat right here.
The morning air in Shaker Heights was still, The kind of quiet that settles over a neighborhood just before the day truly begins. On Chagrin Boulevard, a mother pulled up to a familiar driveway, her daughters in the back seat, unaware that their world was about to change forever. For Aisha Fraser, this was supposed to be a routine exchange, one of many since her marriage ended. But as she stepped out of her car, a sense of unease lingered, the kind that makes your heart race for reasons you can't quite explain. Aisha was known for her warmth, her laughter echoing through classrooms and hallways, her kindness touching everyone she met. She was the kind of person who made others feel seen, a devoted mother and a beloved teacher. But on this day, the ordinary would be shattered in a way no one could have predicted. What happened next would leave a community reeling, 2 young girls forever changed, and a city demanding answers. The person responsible wasn't a stranger lurking in the shadows, but someone trusted, a man who once wore a judge's robe and held the power to decide the fate of others. This is the story of a family torn apart, a community's heartbreak, and the urgent questions that still echo years later. Why did a respected figure commit an unthinkable act? How did the system fail to protect those who needed it most? And what can we learn from the tragedy that unfolded on that quiet Ohio morning? You're watching Psycho Crimes, the channel where we break down real cases that challenge everything you think you know about justice and human nature. If you want more stories that dig deep into the truth and keep you questioning until the very end, hit like and subscribe. There's always another case to uncover. Aisha Fraser was the kind of teacher every parent hopes their child will have. At Woodbury Elementary in Shaker Heights, her classroom was a place where students felt safe, encouraged, and inspired. Colleagues described her as exceptionally caring, always ready to lend a hand or a listening ear. She brought energy and compassion to her work, making a lasting impression on everyone she met. But Aisha's influence reached far beyond the school walls. At home, she was a devoted mother to 2 young daughters, Audrey and Ava. Her family remembers her as someone who radiated positivity, even in the face of hardship. Her mother, Millicent, often spoke of Aisha's ability to find light in the darkest moments, to focus on hope when others might give in to despair. Friends recall her laughter, her generosity, and the way she made every gathering feel special. Aisha's life was built on love and resilience. She balanced the demands of teaching with the responsibilities of motherhood, never letting one diminish the other. Her daughters were her world, and she worked tirelessly to give them a sense of stability and joy, even as her own life became more complicated. Those who knew Aisha best saw her as a source of strength. She was the person people turned to for advice, for comfort, or simply for a reminder that kindness still mattered. Her dedication to her students was matched only by her devotion to her family. She celebrated every achievement, no matter how small, and encouraged those around her to do the same. In a community as close-knit as Shaker Heights, Aisha's presence was felt everywhere. Her absence, when it came, would leave a void impossible to fill. But before tragedy struck, she was a beacon of hope and warmth, a reminder of the difference one person can make in the lives of many. Aisha Fraser's marriage to Lance Mason seemed, from the outside, to be a union of 2 accomplished individuals. Mason was a prominent figure in Ohio's legal and political circles, a former prosecutor, state lawmaker, and Cuyahoga County Common Pleas judge. Together, they appeared to have built a stable life, raising 2 daughters and participating in their community. But beneath the surface, the reality was far more complicated and dangerous. Behind closed doors, Aisha endured a pattern of abuse that she kept hidden from most of those around her. The public image of Mason as a respected judge sharply contrasted with the private turmoil he brought into their home. The relationship, once filled with promise, became marked by fear and control. Aisha's friends and family would later recall moments when she seemed anxious or withdrawn, but the full extent of her suffering remained largely concealed. The abuse escalated over time, with Mason's temper and aggression growing more unpredictable. Aisha, determined to protect her daughters, tried to maintain a sense of normalcy for their sake. She continued to show up for her students and her children, even as she navigated the emotional and physical toll of her marriage. The weight of keeping such a secret was immense, but Aisha's priority was always the safety and well-being of Audrey and Ava. The turning point came in 2014, when the violence could no longer be hidden. While driving home from a funeral with their daughters, Mason launched a brutal attack on Aisha. He punched her repeatedly and slammed her head into the dashboard, breaking an orbital bone. The assault was so severe that Aisha required reconstructive surgery on her face. Mason then threw her from the car and drove away with the children, leaving Aisha injured and alone on the roadside. This incident shattered any illusion of safety. Aisha's decision to file for divorce was not just an act of self-preservation, but a desperate attempt to shield her daughters from further harm. The trauma of that day would haunt the family, and the community would soon learn the truth about the man they thought they knew. For Aisha, the struggle was no longer just about survival. It was about reclaiming her life and protecting her children from a cycle of violence that had already gone too far. The events of 2014 would forever change the course of Aisha Fraser's life. On what should have been an ordinary drive home from a funeral, the fragile peace in the Mason family was shattered. With their daughters, just 6 and 4 years old, seated in the back, Lance Mason unleashed a level of violence that stunned even those who would later hear the details. Without warning, Mason began to strike Aisha, punching her 20 times as the car moved down the road. The attack escalated as he slammed her head into the dashboard 5 times, causing severe injuries, including a broken orbital bone. The brutality of the assault was not only physical but psychological, as their young daughters witnessed the chaos and terror from the back seat. In a final act of cruelty, Mason threw Aisha from the car and sped away, leaving her battered and alone. Despite her injuries, Aisha managed to flag down help.
Calm down so you can get some help, okay?
Aisha Mason.
911, Shaker Police, emergency.
Yes, my husband just beat me and threw me out the car. He has my 2 daughters in the car.
Where you at?
Van Aiken Boulevard.
Yeah.
And Avalon. He just threw me out the car. Orange Saturn View 2008. I'm afraid he's going to hurt my daughters.
Is he with you now, or did he
No,
drive off?
He drove off.
Which way on Van Aiken?
He went going down towards the police station. He probably hit Chagrin.
Okay, yeah, somebody else called about that. Where are you calling? What's your phone number? Where would you call you?
They're taking me to South Point now.
Who's taking you to South Point?
Some nice people in the car stopped. I jumped in.
You in the car now?
In another person's car. Please find my kids.
Are you injured?
Yes. I need some air. Oh.
Is it like, yeah, because we're going to, so do you want an officer to meet you up at South Point then?
Yes, but find my kids. Saturn View, 2008.
Do you know the plate? Do you have the plate? Do you have the plate? Do you know the plate on it?
It's, YME 479 or something like that. YME.
Car 2214-252, just be advised, I'm speaking to the victim, the wife, and she got picked up by another vehicle, and she's going to South Point. Where are you at right now?
I'm heading up Van Aiken.
She exited that orange vehicle, and she got picked up by a passerby. Hold on a second.
Do you have another phone? Could you dial 921?
That's what I think. Yeah, ma'am, what's your first name?
Aisha.
Aisha? Okay,
Yeah.
Can you tell the driver just to stop where you're at, and we're going to have the squad meet you.
Oh, okay.
An officer, okay? So where are you going to be pulling over at?
We're at this church, St. Peter's
Dominic's?
Lutheran Church. No,
What?
St. Peter's Lutheran Church. They want you to pull over and park.
So where are you at exactly?
St. Peter's Lutheran Church at Van Aiken and Ingleside. Did you find the car?
52252, the vehicle stopped at Van Aiken Ingleside. I'm going to have the squad respond there.
Did you find the
What kind of car are you in?
It's a black. What is this? They have the flashes on. It's a black. What kind of car is this? Mercedes.
A black Mercedes.
Yes, did you find the Saturn
She's
View?
going to be in a black Mercedes with her flashes on, Van Aken, Ingleside. I'm calling the squad now.
They're here. Did you find the Saturn View?
Are you with an officer, ma'am?
Yeah, they just pulled up. Did
Okay.
you find the Saturn?
She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors performed reconstructive surgery to repair the damage to her face. The physical wounds would eventually heal, but the emotional scars, both for Aisha and her daughters, would linger much longer. The trauma of that day marked a point of no return. Aisha's sense of safety was gone, replaced by a constant undercurrent of fear. The legal consequences for Mason were swift but, in the eyes of many, insufficient. He was charged and convicted of felony assault, a charge that reflected the severity of his actions.
How's my wife?
You still want us to head up there?
How is she?
Where is she?
That's my sister.
Okay.
How's my wife?
What do you mean, how's your wife? Where was your wife?
She jumped out the car. She's okay.
Police later arrested Mason. They found smoke grenades, guns, and ammo in the home. Less than a year ago, the Ohio Supreme Court suspended his license to practice law indefinitely. He also previously served as a state senator.
The court sentenced him to 24 months in prison. Yet, despite the gravity of the crime, Mason served only 9 months before being released. For Aisha and her family, this early release felt like a betrayal, a signal that the system was not equipped to protect those most at risk. In the aftermath, Aisha filed for divorce and began the difficult process of rebuilding her life. She focused on her daughters, ensuring they received therapy to help them process the trauma they had witnessed. The community, once unaware of the danger Aisha faced, now rallied around her, offering support and solidarity. But the fear never fully left. Aisha confided in friends about her ongoing concerns, always aware that the threat Mason posed had not disappeared with his release. In the wake of the 2014 assault, Aisha Fraser faced the daunting task of rebuilding her life and creating a safe environment for her daughters. The divorce from Lance Mason was a necessary step, but it didn't erase the trauma or the fear that lingered. Aisha became fiercely protective, determined to shield Audrey and Ava from any further harm. Therapy became a crucial part of their healing process. The young girls struggled to understand what they had witnessed, and Aisha sought professional help to guide them through their emotions. She wanted to ensure they felt safe expressing their fears and that they understood they were not to blame for what had happened. Aisha herself grappled with the psychological impact of the abuse, working to regain her sense of self-worth and security. Despite the challenges, Aisha remained committed to her teaching career. She found solace in her work, drawing strength from her students and colleagues. Woodbury Elementary became a sanctuary, a place where she could focus on making a positive difference in the lives of others. But even at school, the shadow of her past lingered. She was always aware of the potential danger, taking extra precautions to protect herself and her daughters. Adding to the sense of injustice, Lance Mason's early release from prison was followed by a controversial decision by the city of Cleveland to hire him as a minority business development administrator. This move sparked outrage in the community, with many questioning why someone with a history of violent abuse was given a position of public trust. For Aisha, it was a painful reminder that the system often fails to protect victims of domestic violence. Aisha confided in friends and loved ones about her ongoing fears. She worried about Mason's potential for future violence and the possibility that he would try to harm her or her daughters. She even made arrangements with her daughter's godmother, Stacy Crowell, asking her to care for Audrey and Ava if anything ever happened to her. This premonition would tragically prove to be true, casting a dark shadow over the years that followed. November 17, 2018, began like so many other Saturdays for Aisha Fraser. She was focused on her daughters, preparing them for another routine custody exchange with their father. The arrangement had become a part of their lives since the divorce, a necessary but uneasy compromise. That morning, Aisha drove to a house on Chagrin Boulevard in Shaker Heights, a property she owned, now rented by Mason's sister, Lynn. The girls were in the back seat, unaware of the danger that awaited. As Aisha pulled into the driveway, the atmosphere was tense but familiar. She gathered her daughters, preparing to walk them to the door. Lynn Mason was inside, ready to receive the children. For a brief moment, everything seemed ordinary. But in an instant, the routine shattered. Lance Mason was waiting. As Aisha helped her daughters out of the car, Mason launched a sudden and violent attack. Armed with a knife, he stabbed Aisha multiple times in the driveway. The assault was swift and brutal, leaving her with fatal wounds. The horror of the moment was magnified by the presence of their daughters, one of whom witnessed the attack unfold, her cries echoing through the air. Lynn Mason, hearing the commotion, rushed outside and immediately called 911. Her voice trembled as she told the dispatcher, "He stabbed her, and she is dead."
Police immediately. My brother is attacking his ex-wife.
Okay, what is the phone number, or what is the address?
17611 Chagrin Boulevard.
Okay, is this a house or an
We're gonna
apartment?
we're gonna need an ambulance too. I need the police and the ambulance.
Okay, is this a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
And are they both still there?
They're outside. I don't know. I just heard her screaming.
Okay, are there any guns or knives involved? Any weapons
I don't
that
know.
you're
I
aware
think
of?
there might be. I think there might be. Please hurry.
Okay, could you just stay on the phone with me and let me know what's going on?
Okay, I have their daughter. I'm inside with the daughter, so I don't want her to see anything.
Okay, yeah, keep her in there and try to stay calm so she doesn't get upset. I'm going to get my
Okay.
guys started out that way, okay? So just
Okay.
stay on the phone with me.
Okay. Let me see what's going on. You stay here. I'm just going to check outside.
Radio 50 and 31. Also 78, respond to 17611.
I don't know.
17611 Sugar, and callers advising that her brother is attacking his ex-wife. They are currently outside. She is in the house with their daughter. She's trying to keep me updated on what's going on. Could you see them or hear them now? She does not know if there's any weapons involved.
Okay, go with the address.
Ma'am?
17611, 17611. Yes, ma'am.
He stabbed her and he said she's dead.
Oh my gosh. Shaker units, she's advising that her brother said he stabbed his ex-wife and she's dead. Hey, Katie, that's a possible stabbing in DOA.
Shaker units, if he takes off, I'm sending my dog. Do not run in front of him.
Okay, is he still there?
Outside in the driveway.
Okay, what is he doing now? Does he have a car there? Is he trying to take off?
No.
Okay, are you able to give me your name?
I'm so sorry. Someone who's behind, get a spot in that house.
I know.
Radio, let's get a description of him and is he in the house?
Okay, is that him coming back in the house?
He's inside the house.
Okay, could you tell me what he's wearing?
Black coat.
Okay.
Is he in the house?
And jeans.
Does he still have the knife? Did he leave it outside?
I don't know. He walked in and there's blood everywhere.
Okay, the caller survived. Could you see where your brother went?
I didn't see. I'm with the girls.
Okay.
Bravo 1 to 33, we're going to need you up here. And could you also start a squad?
The squad is en route. Also, she does not know where her brother went. He did go back outside. I don't know what direction he went.
Okay, William, we're going to keep your information because you're a witness. Mail was chasing him.
While the children's sobs could be heard in the background, the scene was chaotic. Neighbors, drawn by the noise, emerged from their homes, only to be confronted by the unimaginable. Aisha lay motionless, her life taken in a matter of moments. The children, traumatized and in shock, clung to Lynn as they waited for help to arrive. After the attack, Mason attempted to flee. He jumped into his black Audi SUV and sped away, but his escape was short-lived. In his desperation, he crashed into a police cruiser, injuring both himself and a responding officer. Mason was taken to the hospital, where it was reported that he had tried to end his own life before being apprehended. The news of Aisha's death spread quickly through Shaker Heights and beyond. The brutality of the crime, the fact that it happened in front of her children, and the identity of the perpetrator, a former judge, sent shock and outrage through the community. The medical examiner later confirmed that Aisha died from multiple stab and incised wounds. Her death was ruled a homicide, and Mason was arrested at the hospital, facing charges of aggravated murder and other related offenses. For Aisha's family, friends, and the entire community, the events of that morning marked a devastating loss. The tragedy was not just the loss of a beloved mother and teacher, but a stark reminder of the dangers faced by survivors of domestic violence, even after they take steps to protect themselves.
Were you hit anywhere, or were you stabbed at all?
Only if I hurt myself.
Put him up. He's just a hindrance. 2 people uninjured in there. Here.
3 people.
3 people uninjured?
Yeah, my 2 daughters, and I cannot believe I did this.
I need you to do security for these 2 people are coming out. Hey, you need to move him out of here. Move him out of the front door. Put him down over here.
Okay, come on this way.
Move him out. Move him out of the way.
He is bleeding from his hands.
Okay, all right.
So we'll need him in this ambulance.
I'm the security officer right there.
Right this way.
Come here.
Hi. I'm not gonna make it.
He told me he has nothing to say after I Mirandized him. Are you the only male that was in that house at the time?
Yeah.
So far, he was the only male in the house at the time.
You may have to try to get it.
Right?
No, I would take here.
Yeah, I would go that way. Yeah.
Got a smaller cut above it. Right hand.
Okay.
See the smaller one right here?
Yeah. Is that one spurting though?
That one's not spurting. That one's
Okay.
just oozing.
Okay.
Bring this finger. There you go.
Kind of this one because I did it black with red.
I'm gonna have to get in
Pressure triage.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Tourniquet the shit out of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
we do.
No possibility of Hep C, any bloodborne issues.
Copy. Thank you.
Yep.
What?
Is that thing? Yeah, let's crank the fuck out of that thing. Like it's gonna fucking hurt.
Now that it's bandaged up, I can't tell if it's stopped, but...
How's your right arm feel? Okay, tighten the fuck out of that thing. I don't give a shit. That thing is, it's gonna like hurt to fucking move.
10-4.
Alright, that's probably good. It looked pretty hard to tighten up. Yeah.
Alright, we got someone going with us?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're gonna go down.
I don't know if it's exactly going to be me, but I'm not letting him out of my sight. If you guys could just pull his pants up when able. It was definitely. It was squirting out. Yeah.
The same? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we got that digit. We've got a pretty good lack on that. It's about ready to...
Okay.
The news of Aisha Fraser's death sent a wave of grief through Shaker Heights. The community, still reeling from the details of the attack, came together in mourning. Vigils were held in her honor, with candles flickering in the night as friends, colleagues, and neighbors gathered to remember the woman who had touched so many lives. At Woodbury Elementary, where Aisha had taught for years, grief counselors were brought in to support students and staff. The loss was deeply personal for everyone who had known her, and the school community struggled to process the sudden absence of someone so central to their daily lives. Aisha's family was left to pick up the pieces. Her mother, Millicent Fraser, spoke out in court, calling Mason a monster and expressing her heartbreak over the system's failure to protect her daughter. The pain was compounded by the knowledge that Aisha's daughters had witnessed the violence, their innocence forever marked by what they had seen. The trauma of that day would shape their lives in ways no one could fully predict. In the days following the tragedy, the community rallied around Audrey and Ava. Their godmother, Stacy Crowell, and her husband stepped in to become their guardians, honoring Aisha's wishes and vowing to raise the girls with the same love and care their mother had shown. Friends and supporters organized fundraisers and meal trains, determined to provide comfort and stability for the family as they navigated an uncertain future. The outrage over Mason's actions was matched by frustration with the legal system. Many questioned how someone with a history of violent abuse had been released from prison so early and allowed continued contact with his former wife. The fact that Mason had been given a city job after his conviction only fueled the anger and disbelief. Aisha's story became a rallying point for advocates and lawmakers, who called for stronger protections for survivors of domestic violence. Her legacy, though born of tragedy, inspired a renewed commitment to change. The community's response was not just about honoring Aisha's memory, but about demanding accountability and working to ensure that no other family would have to endure such a loss.
Lance Mason walked into court and just 1 week before his 52nd birthday, proclaimed a decision that will likely dictate the rest of his life.
Your Honor, I wish to take responsibility for the crimes I committed. I don't wish to prolong it or delay it.
The former state lawmaker and judge emotional as he told the court he didn't want to cause his family any more pain than he already has. Mason then pled guilty to the aggravated murder of his ex-wife, Aisha Fraser. The Shaker Heights school teacher stabbed to death in front of her own daughter outside Mason's sister's house last November. In court, Mason said his daughter played a role in his decision not to go to trial.
There's no way I was going to let my daughter testify against me.
Now prosecutors hope there's no way Mason ever walks out of prison a free man. He already served time behind bars for a 2014 assault against Fraser. In that case, he was released just 9 months into a 2-year sentence. Prosecutor Michael O'Malley wasn't in office at that time, but today pledged no more breaks for Mason.
Any human being who is capable of doing to what he did to his former spouse and to do it in front of his children is a very troubled, sick human being.
It's why O'Malley says he refused to cut a deal.
Guilty, Your Honor.
Mason forced to admit each crime, including violating a protection order, stealing Fraser's car, and then ramming a police officer who responded to the scene. Pleas, the prosecutor hopes, send a message far beyond the walls of this courtroom.
Domestic violence and these type of domestic abuse crosses all socioeconomic classes and races, and the reality is we see it too often in our community, and by making him accept every count, we're attempting to send the message to the people in this county that it will not be tolerated.
After the attack that claimed Aisha Fraser's life, Lance Mason was quickly taken into custody. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and the community watched closely as the legal process unfolded. Mason faced charges of aggravated murder, along with additional offenses related to the assault on a police officer and the violation of a protection order. In court, the atmosphere was tense. The brutality of the crime, combined with Mason's previous conviction for assaulting Aisha, left little room for doubt about the seriousness of his actions. The prosecution presented a clear case, detailing the events of that November morning and the lasting impact on Aisha's family. The presence of the couple's daughters during the attack added a layer of heartbreak that was impossible to ignore. Aisha's family and supporters filled the courtroom, seeking justice for a woman whose life had been cut short. Her mother's words were direct and powerful, condemning Mason's lack of remorse and the failures that had allowed him to remain a threat. The community's anger was palpable, fueled by the knowledge that Mason's early release from prison had left Aisha vulnerable. Ultimately, the court handed down a sentence that reflected the gravity of Mason's crimes. He was given life in prison, with the possibility of parole only after 35 years. Additional sentences were imposed for the related offenses, ensuring that Mason would spend decades behind bars. For many, the outcome brought a measure of closure, but it could not erase the pain or restore what had been lost. The case became a stark example of the consequences that can arise when warning signs are ignored and systems fail to protect those most at risk. Mason's conviction was a necessary step, but for Aisha's loved ones, true justice would always feel out of reach. Aisha Fraser's death did more than devastate her family and community. It exposed deep flaws in the systems meant to protect victims of domestic violence. Despite a documented history of severe abuse, Lance Mason's early release from prison and continued contact with Aisha through custody exchanges left her vulnerable. Friends and family had long worried about her safety, But their concerns were not enough to prompt stronger intervention. The fact that Mason, after serving less than half of his sentence for a violent assault, was able to secure a city job only added to the sense of injustice. Many questioned how someone with such a record could be trusted with public responsibility, and why the legal system had not imposed stricter safeguards. The tragedy made it painfully clear that existing laws and procedures were not sufficient to protect those at greatest risk. In the aftermath, Aisha's story became a catalyst for change. Lawmakers and advocates in Ohio began to push for new legislation designed to address the gaps that had left her exposed. The most significant of these efforts was the introduction of Aisha's Law, a bill aimed at strengthening protections for survivors of domestic violence. The proposed law called for enhanced risk assessment protocols for law enforcement, improved communication between courts and social services, and stricter enforcement of protection orders. It also sought to expand resources for survivors, including access to emergency housing and legal assistance. Aisha's mother, Millicent, became a leading voice in the fight for reform. She spoke publicly about her daughter's experience, urging lawmakers to act so that no other family would have to endure a similar loss. Supporters of the bill argued that real change required more than just punishment for offenders. It demanded a comprehensive approach that prioritized the safety and well-being of survivors. As of April 2024, efforts to pass Aisha's Law were ongoing. The case continued to inspire public debate and renewed calls for accountability. For many, the push for reform was about more than just honoring Aisha's memory. It was about building a future where victims of domestic violence could trust that the system would stand with them, not leave them exposed to further harm. Aisha Fraser's story is more than a tragedy, it's a call to action. Her life and untimely death highlight the urgent need for stronger protections and support for those facing domestic violence. The pain endured by her family and community serves as a stark reminder that the consequences of inaction can be devastating and far-reaching. One of the most important lessons from Aisha's case is the necessity of taking threats and past violence seriously. Courts and law enforcement must prioritize the enforcement of protection orders and respond quickly to violations. When someone with a history of abuse is allowed continued access to their victim, the risk of further harm increases dramatically. Aisha's experience shows that even after a conviction, the danger does not always end. Another key takeaway is the importance of comprehensive risk assessment. Police and social services need effective tools to identify those at the greatest risk and to intervene before violence escalates. Improved communication between agencies can help close the gaps that allow abusers to continue threatening their victims. Support for survivors is also critical. Access to emergency housing, legal assistance, counseling, and childcare can make the difference between safety and continued danger. Aisha's efforts to protect her daughters and seek help for them underscore the need for resources that empower survivors to rebuild their lives. Accountability for offenders must be a priority. Sentences for domestic violence should reflect the seriousness of the crime, and early release should only be considered when there is clear evidence of rehabilitation and compliance with court orders. The outrage over Mason's early release and subsequent actions demonstrates the consequences of leniency in cases involving violent abuse. Finally, community awareness and education are essential. By learning to recognize the signs of abuse and understanding the resources available, friends, family, and neighbors can play a vital role in supporting those at risk. Aisha's legacy is a reminder that change is possible, but it requires vigilance, compassion, and a commitment to justice from everyone. What lessons do you think we should take from Aisha's story? Let's talk in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories that matter. Aisha Fraser's life was defined by compassion, resilience, and a deep love for her children and community. Her tragic death left a void that can never truly be filled, but her legacy endures in the lives she touched and the movement for change she inspired. The fight for justice in her name continues, as advocates and lawmakers work to strengthen protections for those at risk and to ensure that no other family faces the same heartbreak. As we remember Aisha, we also honor the strength of her daughters, the dedication of her loved ones, and the determination of a community that refused to let her story fade into silence. The lessons from her life and the calls for reform that followed serve as a powerful reminder of the work still to be done. Thank you for watching this episode of Psycho Crimes. If Aisha's story moved you, please consider supporting organizations that help survivors of domestic violence. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to help raise awareness and keep these important conversations going. Your engagement helps us bring more stories that matter to light.